Greetings, everyone. It is another Saturday, and you already know what it is. It's time for some good old panel discussion. As always, got to give a shout out to the frequency, for allowing us to be able to bring our platform to the frequency so that you will be able to hear us. You know, we'll officially be moving this platform over to the frequency in the July timeframe. So definitely can't wait for that. So a big shout out to the frequency. And definitely also, can I be the man? A letter from us to you. It's official. It is official. We are out. We are running. We've been out for what? It has been 27 days. 27 days that the book is since the book release. Definitely thank everyone that has taken out the time to purchase it, read it. If you haven't had an opportunity to get the book, I suggest you go out there and get it. Audio book will be coming out soon. Big shout out to Telemate Productions LLC for putting it together for me. and you know, just appreciate everything. Appreciate everyone that has been following us and has been pushing this thing. And it's not just a book; it's an entire movement. It's an entire movement. So we just gonna go ahead and dive right into things. Yesterday we was talking about fatherhood. Started talking about it on Thursday's show. We picked it up on a panel yesterday, kind of flowed into it. So we're just gonna keep it flowing from here, because I'm definitely gonna be talking about it next week as well too. So get a panel opportunity to be able to weigh in and kind of go from there. So Lee, I'll just throw this question out there. Why do you feel like our roles as fathers has been diminished the way that it has?
It's not one reason, in my opinion. It's not one reason, in my opinion. That's a number of reasons. It's kind of a kind of a microcosm of the brown community in general. We are the only community that's just getting hit with multiple different things in multiple different areas. And up until the civil rights era, one of the things that we had shored up was the man and the woman wasn't against each other like they are today in the cold water we're in. So I think it was diminished because government benefits help diminish the role of a man. I think in the past, just for any situation, if you have an option of doing one or two things, then it gives you confidence to speak against something that was always your only option. And that's how I feel like the black man and the black woman, I hate to use that term, I'm gonna just say brown men and brown women. That's how it came about. The government made another option for a woman. And ever since Willie Lynch, they've been trying so hard to put the woman in the brown woman in the brown man's place. They've been trying to eradicate the man from the brown family structure, and they've been trying to make the brown woman the decision maker, a role that some women can do, but it goes against the design of what they strictly are to do, if you will. And the reason that I say that is because it is a very challenging thing for a brown woman, a woman in general, to fight her emotions and not allow her logic to flow through her emotions. So And I know that was kind of a long-winded, but I wanted to elaborate on that. But when you have TANF, when you have food stamps, when you have WIC, when you have all of these different government assistance programs, housing and stuff like that, it might not be the best thing for these women, but they can count on it in their minds. They can say, hey, look, that money's going to be there on the first of the month. And I can't count on him to be there when we need it the most, not knowing that it's because it's very challenging sometimes for, and you've seen the statistics on what it is compared to a black man that gets out of high school versus a white man out of high school, and what the income is, or what a dropout is, versus their counterparts, or whatever the case may be. So all of those different factors, and I know I'm kind of just throwing a lot out there, but all of those different factors play a part as to the depreciation in the eyes of a woman to the black man, if that makes sense.
Nah, it definitely does. I know, man, you said a mouthful, really did. But I know that I think the saddest part about this is that it's something that we as men have bought into. Because all the stuff, a lot of the stuff that you talked about was systematic, but it's something that we still could afford against. We could have put our foot down and said, no, this is not going to happen, type of deal. But we kind of let it.
Let me ask you a question about what you just said about a lot of this we could have fought against, because I heard you say that before on previous episodes in terms of how when we came into the slavery, how we could have, or when we were seeing our women and our children being raped and this, that, and the other, we could have done more, whatever the case may be. I'd like to know from your perspective, what if you could paint that out for the audience, what do you think that would have looked like for us as a people if we had fought back, or we fought against those ideals that we essentially as a people surrender to today? Because I think people are afraid.
What people fail to realize is, yeah, but the thing about it is our ancestors, they really weren't. What a lot of people don't know about is, especially during slavery times, about all the revolts that literally took place. There were several. A lot of people know about some of them. There were like 11 different prominent revolts that took place during slavery days that our ancestors carried out. I think one of the biggest issues, especially during that particular time, is was the unity behind it. You had those that were willing, and then you had those that were not. And I think when you fast forward, hurry up. Excuse me. Give here. You fast forward to those days for our grandparents and great-grandparents, when their opportunity came about, it was no different than what our ancestors went during slavery days. Because what happened was, with those revolts, even the ones that were successful, eventually they was hunted down. And what they did to them in front of the other slaves, it put fear into their heart. So when you look at the leaders that we had during those days, the Medgar Evers, Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, and several others, or not. And the thing about it is, especially this is what bothers me is because when the feminist movement rolled in or whatnot, we had female leaders. We had female leaders during that time. I'm trying to think of her name. That it's Angie. I can't remember her last name or whatnot, but she was one. She's been in Cuba since, under their protection, under their protection. And so there was no real reason for us to even engage, our women to even engage into that battle because they were on the front lines with us fighting. But what happened was they started snuffing out our leaders. They started snuffing out our leaders. And what made it all worse was that same thing that was going on with our ancestors, which was you had division and you had those that were selfish during that particular time. And what was happening was we were being infiltrated by our own people. Being infiltrated by our own people. So, and you go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You was about to say something. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were cutting in or out. Okay. So that you said a mouthful there too, and you were also talking about a couple of things that happened. Because to be really honest, we haven't really seen a leader on a level like Martin Luther King since Martin Luther King. Would you agree? I mean, we've had some, some people pop up and things of that nature, but I'm talking about on a Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey type of level of being able to bring people together, rally people, and sustain it for long periods of time. I mean, would you agree?
No, I agree 100%.
So, it's, and if I would encourage people, if you haven't, there is a documentary called The War of 1802 and it's directed by a man named Tariq Nasheed. And what is particularly interesting about this story is we talk about all of these slave revolts, and they all were short-lived, and they all ended up unsuccessful. But there was only one slave revolt in the history of the world that was actually successful, and that was the Haitians against the French. And but it was, and I guess this lends itself to what I was going to ask you. The difference between that revolt and all of the other revolts were they put religion aside, and they all came to a conclusive agreement that if they can't live a life of what their ideals are, then they would rather die. And I think the thing that chokes out any kind of movement to see real change in our community is you do have those agents, those secret agents that will sell out for $1. Or you do have those people who say they down for the cause, but when it gets hot in the kitchen, they take off and run. And then you do have those that will hold on to their political stances, and you have people that will hold on to their religious stances that will cause us a divide. Because a lot of wars, predominantly most of the wars that have been started in the history of this earth, religion usually has something to do with it. Am I right or wrong? So with that being said,
you're right.
So with that being said, we can't really make a move to do anything until people give up this notion about life and them having to live it. Like, I always laugh about this. Like, Christian folks aren't as radical as Muslim folks. You know, a person who is a devout Muslim will strap a bomb to his chest or her chest, and they will blow themselves up in the name of Allah, right? We've seen it happen. But ask a Christian to strap a bomb to themselves and blow up in the name of Jesus Christ, and you will not see it happen. At least this day and age. In our lifetime, we hadn't seen that. And what I'm trying to get at is, I'm not saying that we need to be suicidal or anything like that, but if we're gonna have some substantial and sustaining movement of anything that we do, we have to be willing to give up our lives for what we believe in. And my question to you, because you exhibit all sorts of leadership abilities, how would you, if you had the command of so many people in front of you, how would you get people to put their fear away and get them to understand the art of sacrifice?
First thing I would have them know and understand is that your life is already a sacrifice. At any given moment, at any part of the day, things can go left and it'll be over with. You know it and you see it because each and every last one of us, melanated people, whenever the police get behind us, what happens? We get nervous. First thing we start thinking about is our life. It's the very first thing that we are trying to, if we don't already, we're trying to pull out the license, make sure it's in plain sight. Majority of us don't even drive with our hands 10 and 2, but the moment police officers get behind us, that's where they're at, 10 and 2, making sure that they're not trying to make no sense to blow our brains out whatsoever. It's already there. Is already there. So there is risk in everything. There is risk in everything. That's the first thing that needs to be understood. But what I will also encourage them with is that we have had our ancestors look at our grandparents, great-grandparents, what they did right, as well as what they did wrong. And being able to find a method in which we can go about this thing that will not cause us to have to make that ultimate sacrifice. Because quite frankly, even the Muslims and stuff that it is that you were talking about, that strap a bomb to their chest, and they are equivalent as the KKK when it comes down to Christianity. Vast majority of those that are of either the NOI or that are of Islam, they are not in agreement with that at all. At all. But they do agree in order. And they do agree in terms of justice. In terms of justice. But to embark on, it's not going to require the type of sacrifice that people think that we're going to have to. At all. Because what it is that we're about to embark on is not just about us as melanated people. It's about really the entire human race. And trying to tell someone else how to do with themselves, we have corrected the issues that we have in our own backyard, which is the reason why what it is we are doing, the movement that we're actually on is so important. It's so important, especially to me. Especially to me. Man, did I just freeze? Or you can hear me? I feel like I just froze. You can't hear me? You on mute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The
You on
most
mute.
important thing is I can hear you.
Okay. All right. If that's the case, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my video off. Or no. Well, like I was saying, we're not gonna have to make that ultimate sacrifice. We just not. It's not gonna require it. One, we're smarter than that. Two, we have the example of our ancestors as well as our grandparents, great grandparents, and the things that they actually did. Other ways to be able to go about getting what needs to be done. Now, that's not to say that we won't defend ourselves, because that's just the law of nature. It's just a law of nature. But as far as there being necessary, it's not necessary at all. It's not necessary at all. I always say that if I were to come up during the time when that rocking with Malcolm during that particular time, but more than likely by pushing, definitely would have been with Garvey. Like I said, there are so many ways in order to be able to accomplish this thing. The first thing is and address them. And one of the issues is what it is that we are actually talking about right now, which is fatherhood. Now, the reality of the situation is that the picture that has been painted in reference to society is not true. African American men lead the way as far as playing active roles as fathers in their children's lives. The last stats that I looked at, it was about 61%. 61%. So that's another 39% that basically can be thrown into that category. Is how many of that 39% is really incarcerated? When you start looking at the numbers that are incarcerated and don't have in their lives, that number shrinks even more. Matter of fact, we cut it down to 50%. 50% of that 39%. We talking less than 20%. Less than 20%. But go ahead and give your thoughts. What's your thoughts on that? You on mute.
Sorry about that. I think it's more than racism. I think racism is just the layer that gets thrown in front of a bigger issue, which is classism. And classism is the real issue. They got us as a people fooled that it's a white against black thing, a black against white thing, or whatever the case may be. But really and truthfully, it's a human struggle. It goes deeper. In my belief, it goes deeper than racism, way deeper than racism. It goes into, there are some people that are in some power positions that really just don't like human beings. They don't like human beings. They see I'm talking about, the Bill Gates of the world and stuff like that. Like, they really don't like human beings. And so it's imperative. Yes, it is very imperative as a people, us melanated people, to stick together. But it's also necessary for people to just be humane to each other. We've got to get past this notion. I think we have to stop being ruled by money and stop worshiping money. And we need to be able to have the leadership to identify the people that are driven by money, because those that are driven by money, those, even if they don't want to sell out or they don't intend to sell out, they are going to sell out for the right price. So we got to be able to, as a community, do that. And some of the semblance of what I mean by community is, if you look at the communities today, there are no more watchmen. There is no more somebody's watching the children in the neighborhood on the porch. Several people are watching kids in the neighborhood on the porch. Children feel like once they're from around their parents or whatever the case may be, that they are in the clear to be able to do the things that they want to, versus when we were growing up, we were subjected to be spied on by anybody, and we were subjected to be reported by anybody. We grew up in the time frame, and I think we came at the end of it. We grew up in the time frame where if you got into trouble with the police knew the best thing to do is to tell your mom or tell your dad. And that was the worst thing in the world. You would have preferred to go to jail than deal with your mom and your dad. And we kind of lost our way with that now, where kids feel like the supervision over them is limited. They feel smarter. Each generation gets weaker and wiser, as the scriptures say. And every time you look up, one of our kids or one of our young adults are falling prey to the system that could have very well been corrected from a neighborhood watch standpoint. And so I think that you got to get rid of this. We have to have something in place that will make people not want to sell out for money. Or we got to have something in place that would make that could help us identify who are those that are seeking out some kind of monetary gain, because those are candidates for rats, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about ratting out because we're doing something wrong. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the founders of this Constitution and everything like that, if you go back and you look at the history, there were so many secret meetings. There were so many secret things going on. There's so many things in the Constitution that has different meanings and different codes and languages and things like that. And why is that? It was so that the agenda that was supposed to be put out did not get interrupted. Well, with us, we always want to have shine on us. We want to have light on us. We want to get notoriety and stuff like that. And we're gonna have to learn to move a little quieter until we can get enough momentum in anything that we do. Oh, okay, that's something. Okay, you on two of them. All right. So, okay, it's echo. But we need to try to make sure that we are. The only way we're going to get some movement is we're going to have to keep quiet about what we're trying to do to an extent. And then we got to realize that if we, and I don't want to go too deep into too many things, man, but I'm just gonna let it rip, man. If we are so afraid of what the government is gonna do to us that we acquiesce to some bull crap that they tell us to do, and in the long term, it's gonna be imprisonment for us. So we thinking, they got us thinking about holding on today, and they taking our minds off of tomorrow. And then when tomorrow gets here, it's too late to do what we could do today. So they try to take out, so they use propaganda and the media and things like that to give us an image of how bad Black people are. And then they give us an image of what we ought to do, in particular, like with this vaccine. So, and if people, and it's basically guilt tripping people into acquiescing to doing the things that the government wants them to do. But people are like sheep, and they're not waking up to the fact of, hey, look, there is a history of how things have gone that we can look back on to see how it is. That's why it makes no sense to me. And I don't want to go on a tangent too much. That's why I'm saying we need to stick together, starting with the husband and the wife, how important that institution is to make all of this stuff kind of go away. But we got to get to a point where we saying that, you know what, if life is going to be this way, then I don't want to be here. I'm not going to commit suicide, but if I can't strive for and achieve the ideals of my life that are reasonable, I'm not talking about doing anything dirty or harmful to anybody. I'm talking about being able to wake up, being able to have good food, good drink, and a place to stay, and my family to enjoy it with. And I'm not trying to bother anybody. If I can't have that, then what do I really, why am I fighting so hard to live in this type of environment? And it's not going to change unless I do something about it. So you said earlier, it's about everything's a risk and there's a sacrifice to everything. That's what people need to understand. There is no safe haven for what we're trying to do. It's a risk. If you don't do anything right now, it's a risk living life the way you're living it, because you can have your freedoms taken away from you. So we have to, I think we need to educate ourselves on the fact that if there is a chance to have life and have life more abundantly, then we should take the measures to try to do that. Get rid of the rats in the group and deal with them personally. And then we need to make sure that we are quietly moving forward with what we're trying to do, because there isn't anything out there for us. And at the end of the day, we are all we have. Sorry, but I mean, it's something that's important to me, man. And I just think that people are so, when you're emotional, you can't think about tomorrow. And they know that. They understand the psychology of, if we can get people emotional, they'll do things that benefit them today, not knowing that they are sacrificing tomorrow. The sacrifice is going to happen up front, or it's going to happen on the back end. At least if it happens up front, there is a timeline to the end of it. But if sacrifice happens on the back end, it may be the rest of your life.
Agreed. Definitely agree.
So that's why I just want our women, I want our women to understand, we are really fighting a useless war with each other. I'm not your enemy and you're not my enemy. We are the perfect complement to one another. I'm good, but with you, I'm great. Let's stop fussing and fighting about the roles. Let's look at nature. Let's accept the fact that we are part of nature, and let's do what we were designed to do in nature, and stop worrying about what other mofos are saying about how we do what we do. Because at the end of the day, do they have the results that they want? Because if they don't have the results that they want, how in the hell are they going to tell you that you doing something different is a bad thing? So we just got to get out of that, man. We really do. I'm going to shut up.
So one of the things, can you hear me? You hear me good?
Yep.
All right. So one of the biggest issues is one of the things that you brought, one of the last things that you said, which was that we don't understand the role that we play in nature. We are a part of nature as well. And we've been out of order, out of whack for so long that we've come to the part to where we believe that we are no longer a part of nature, when we very much so are. If anything, we are the rulers. We have dominion over it. But the same way that we talked about a few shows ago in reference to when you have a king that is a tyrant, that king can be overthrown. If we continue to walk down the path that we have been walking down, that is exactly what's going to happen to us. We're going to be overthrown. You got to get back to accepting the nature of things. Because that would make things a whole lot easier than what we have right now. I want y'all to think about it this way. Right? Look at it this way. Everything within nature works interdependently. Everything is literally working for the benefit of everything. Yes, there are some harsh realities within nature, but there are also some harsh realities within our human race. But when you get to the core of things, everything works for the benefit of everything within nature. Nature houses itself. Nature feeds itself. Nature always even heals itself. There was a time where we were going crazy about the forest fires and things of that particular nature that was happening in the rainforest, not understanding that that was literally nature replenishing itself. When you understand what happens with fire, yes, it looks harsh, but it is actually going through burning and killing and things of that particular nature, or whatnot, but it's also replenishing the soul. And what grows after it, most times is even better than what it took away. It's literally the process of it healing itself. Every bird, every animal finds some place within nature to house it. Birds create their nests. Even down to the insects. Everything within nature is housed one way or another. Nature even feeds itself. Like I said, there's some harsh realities when it comes down to it or whatnot, especially when it comes down to feeding itself and things of that particular nature. But it does. Now look at where we fall out of line. Just in those three aspects. If you don't have any insurance, what's going to happen? It's required that the hospital has to at least get you stable, but it's not the requirement to provide you with any type of healing. How many times do we drive past people that we know are homeless? In California, you have a whole skid row, nothing but people without shelter, people without food. And we walk past them like it's nothing, like they don't even exist, like they wasn't even there. My biblical people, that's what your tithes was supposed to be for. Your tithes was supposed to be for the Levites that didn't have an inheritance. It's supposed to be for the widow who no longer has a husband to actually take care of them. Yeah, it was supposed to be for those children, those orphans that don't have parents to be able to take care of them. It was also supposed to be for that stranger in your midst. That stranger in your midst was equivalent to that person that was homeless. It was your job, it was your responsibility to care.
Boy, I hope they're hearing what you're saying, man. Because, I mean, that's something right there that people don't understand. And I know that our audience predominantly falls in typically the category of the Christianic faith or the Muslim faith, okay? And you and I both know that the Quran and the Bible, they got the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. They got all of the prophets, same prophets. They got all of the pretty much everything is the same except the messenger. So we fight today about who the message is coming from instead of getting the message, right? Which you and I both know all of this is going to correct itself out in due season, okay? So that's why you and I are really not harping on that. But that's one of the things that I think people do not understand about the tithe, okay? If we did what we were supposed to do with 1/10 of our resources, we wouldn't have to lean on the government or anybody to do for these homeless people and these widows like we do now. That's not the responsibility. We can't trust the government to do responsible things. Look what they did with the money for Social Security. You know, they essentially embezzled it, okay, and made bad investment choices. And now they're trying to give the vaccine to these people. The first people they tried to get the vaccine to was senior citizens. You just got to look at what's going on, guys. And when we start talking about how important the family structure is, as this book, Can I Be the Man, is trying to articulate to you ever so eloquently, may I add, what we're trying to get you to understand is there are some basic fundamental things that we've been doing wrong for so long that we think it's the right thing. You lie to yourself long enough, you will believe it. You do something wrong long enough, you will become a habitual offender of doing it. And just what you just said right there, a lot of people don't really understand and realize when they were talking about the tithe, that was talking about that didn't have anything to do with money. Okay, that had everything to do with food, resources, cattle, things of that nature, and who it was directed for. It wasn't directed for that G5 that your pastor flies in and flies with his family. It wasn't for because the Bible talks about when the Mashiach was talking to his disciples and he said, no fancy inns, pitch a tent. Okay, it was never designed for people in that field to become so wealthy. It was designed for the ones that didn't have an inheritance, the ones that didn't have a system set up for them. Okay, it was designed like my man said right here. It was designed for the widows, the fatherless children. It was designed for the orphans. It was designed for the homeless. That's what it's literally designed for. So you don't believe me? Go read it in your Bible. Stop waiting for church to open on Sunday or Bible study before you open your book. Do your own research. Work out your own salvation. You'll understand that if we did what we were supposed to do, and the scriptures tell us we would need no teachers. He sent a comforter for us. So right and wrong is written on the linings of your heart. You don't need somebody to tell you what's right, and you don't need somebody to tell you what's wrong. You just, if you have any kind of conscientiousness about you, you innately know that this is the right thing to do. This is the wrong thing to do. And as I said on the last episode, yeah, I know sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, but you got to learn to fall in love doing the right thing, because that's what discipline is. Discipline is doing something that you don't like to do as if you love doing it. But the great thing about doing something consistently is you'll get on autopilot about it. So it just takes you just a little bit of time to do the right thing about it. And then when it comes back to men and women and our relationships, there are some fundamental things that we need to be doing towards each other that is righteousness. And if we just consistently do it, even though we don't like doing it right now, okay, even if that means men, you're going to have to put up with some things from women, and women, you're going to have to put up with some things from men, and you're going to have to allow opportunity and chance for men to be men and women need to fall in love with being women again, because they're both equally important, but differently important. And that's what we got to get back to doing. And we need to stop being so scared of what other people think, because no matter what you do, other people really don't give a darn about you like you think they give a darn about you.
We literally have been driven and programmed to be self-centered. Everything is about self. Nowadays, everything is solely about self. Even what it is we're talking about as far as those that are homeless, those that have issues eating and things of that particular nature. The first thing that you hear a lot of people say about it is go get a job. And for the people that say things of that particular nature, I got one question for you. Have you ever sat and had a conversation with any of these people that's out on the floor, that's homeless? And don't get me wrong, I know and I understand that there are scammers that are out there. No, they are. And I don't even think that people know and understand that there's a completely different world that they live in. When I go out and I go and feed the homeless and stuff of that particular nature, I tell people all the time, don't give them anything new at all. Why do I tell them? Because you're putting their life in danger. You are literally putting their life in danger. Because you have several different types of homeless that are out there. You have the first type, which is those that are homeless by choice. They don't want anything to do with this government having to pay taxes or anything of that particular nature. They are literally homeless by choice. The vast majority of them that are homeless by choice, they have some sort of income that is coming in. They do. And then you have those and that are homeless due to addiction. Due to addiction, those are those addicts, alcoholics that are out there. And you have the ones that are homeless because of circumstances, literally because of circumstances. I've seen it before. I've seen it where I talked with the little old white lady. Never worked a day in her life. Never worked a day in her life. Her husband or whatnot lived for a very, very, very long time together. I think she was in her late 60s, early 70s, something like that. Didn't have any children, nothing of that particular nature. Husband passed away. Money was drained. Money was drained. Wasn't able to pay the taxes on a house that they had been paid off for over 20 years. Guess what happened? They came and took it. Came and took it. Didn't care nothing about whether this old lady would have any place to live or anything of that particular nature. They came and took her home. Sat back and sold as much stuff as she possibly could to try and pay things off or not. Thanks. If I remember correctly, she was probably about $500-600 off, but they took it. She had been homeless ever since. Ever since. And it's those ones that are like that lives be at risk every single day. So I tell them, go feed the homeless and things of that particular nature. Do not give them anything that's new at all. Why? Because those homeless that are out there due to addiction, they're going to go and get it by any means necessary. Any means necessary. And I'm not talking about waiting for them to go to sleep and then taking the shoes, those new shoes off their feet. They're going to crack them jokers clean across the head. Take this and take whatever it is that they have and go on about their business. Why do you think that you see so many homeless people walking around with big sticks and things of that particular nature? It's for security. Literally, it's for security. And I'm not telling you something that I know from discussions and things of that particular nature. I know from experience. From experience. First night living in the street, I learned real quick. Really, really, really quick. And that's a whole violent world that lives in the shadows, in the midst of us worrying about this obsolete stuff that goes on in our lives, while they sitting out there fighting for theirs every single day. Every single day. I'm telling you. Sit down. Talk to them. I guarantee you the conversation that you have with them will make whatever it is that you're going through seem very meaningless. Seem very meaningless. And these so-called shelters and things of that particular nature treat them jokers like trash, especially the men. Because quite frankly, the vast majority of the shelters and stuff that are out there or not primarily out for women and children. Women and children. Those mothers that are out there with their kids or not, most times they separate them jokers from the mothers. Why do they do that? Because a lot of the predators and stuff that we be talking about work in these places right here. So they push the mothers over to one side, kids over to another side, and they taking advantage of it. But you worry about the next pair of Jordans that's gonna come out, whether you're gonna be able to get them or not. You concerned about how somebody thinks about you. I was talking with a lady a couple of weeks back. Nobody's talking about all those kids that were doggone separated from their parents. When the whole issue with Trump and the wall and stuff came up and they started snatching up undocumented foreigners, what happened to them? Some of them kids is 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. Still separated from their parents. You have people that be screaming and hollering about the sex trade that goes on around the world, really. And y'all sat back and watched this thing happen. Nobody's saying anything about it. Want to know why nobody's saying anything about it? It's because we've been conditioned to be self-centered. If it does not directly impact ourselves as well as our homes, it's not of any use or concern to us at all. We have become so disconnected from the nature of things, from our role within nature, that we've become heartless.
And you know, I want to.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You good? I've been talking.
No. I want to piggyback on that. How therapeutic it would be for ourselves if we could take. As a person, you'll always find something wrong with your situation, even if you say, "Hey, I want to get to level 2, and if I get to level 2, I'm good." And then once you get to level 2, you're gonna find the insatiableness, how insatiable it is to be at level 2, and you'll want level 3. It's the same reason that you got these billionaires right now so unhappy to the point where they want to hurt, harm, and endanger other people for something that they feel like is going to satisfy them, but it's at the end, it's going to not satisfy them. I mean, guys, we are borrowing this earth and everything thereof. Okay, nothing here belongs to us. We are privileged to be able to utilize the things that we have here. And in America and anywhere else for that matter, especially in America, you never own anything as long as you're paying taxes on. So, you know, you can get just like that, just like what he said about the lady with the house. You can pay that house off and you can feel like you own that house. But go ahead and not pay those taxes and watch what happens. And you said by like $500, such a small, minuscule amount to have her whole life ripped from her. Okay? If we were more conditioned to be more sensitive to what was going on around us, we would not have any time, effort, or energy to feel sorry for our situation. But as long as we are, they try to get us to do something is like, I don't even know. And we talked about this, it's like we do not, we don't understand that independence is an imaginative word that doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist because nothing on this earth is independent and stand alone by itself. Everything depends on something, and something depends on everything. It's just, if anyone can give me an example of something that exists without the assistance of something else, then I'll stand corrected. But until then, show me something that exists without the assistance or leaning on for something else. And the biggest crock of crap that they have convinced us of, especially in our music and things of that nature that drives and pushes things in our culture. Sorry about that. We will have we have this push for independence. Be on your own, make your own money, do your own thing. But you still need people to even get to that point. So the more you think you're becoming independent, in fact, that's you becoming more dependent. Say you got a business and you don't have nobody else working for you, and you say, hey, I run the show, and let your customers stop buying goods and services from you, and you'll find out how independent you really weren't. So we should just think about, we need to, we need to do that. Nobody can argue about nature. We need to really get back to looking at nature, studying nature. I mean, literally watch National Geographic. Look at how lions work. Look at how wolves work. Look at how elephants work. They all work together. And we somehow think that we're not a part of nature. But there is and nobody else, and no other species in this world has a problem accepting the role that they have, except us. And I think our intelligence is crippling to us because we somehow think that we can take something that was created like nature, and we somehow think we can make it better. But nature is the master of knowing and understanding the balance and the duality of everything. So we need to make sure that we understand. I can tell you right now, if we could stop, if we could just take 1/10 of our money, and nobody's saying go donate the money to Red Cross or whatever the case may be, because we know stories about them. But if you think you can't make an impact, if you could just take 10 cents on every dollar that you make and set it aside, and even if it's nothing but like once a month, finding a place where you know homeless people are, go and make some sandwiches, go and buy some bags of chips, go and buy some bottles of water, and just go pass them out. Now imagine if 1,000 people in a community had that mindset, hunger would be over. These homeless people would know that they had a meal coming every day because and that's the power of community. And we don't need a lot of people. And the way that news coverage and everything works, that would get traction. And that's how you start a brush fire of good. Just by you thinking, well, if I did it, it's not going to make a difference. It doesn't take a lot. Just go and buy you some meat, go and buy you some cheese, go and buy you some bread, some bags of chips. You know, if you went and did that, you bought $100 worth of that, man, your trunk would be full. And you could go out there and you could feed. I know where I live, if you go to this place in Richmond, where all the homeless people are, you could just simply go out there, and I've done it. You go out there, and it is amazing what you can pass out around there. And a lot of times when you're passing out food, that'll identify it. Some of them don't even want your food, and it's gonna be a rude awakening. So you just need to try to understand that we don't need to rely on the government or anybody for anything. What we need to do is we need to rely on each other. And if the construct of marriage is not where it needs to be, well, we damn doomed to hell anyway.
It's the core. It's the core. If the core is not right, none of it is right. And until we reestablish the duality of the relationship between men and women, it's never going to be right. Just not. We're going to continue to get worse. We continue to spiral down the hole that we are spiraling down. And it's sad, to be quite honest, it's sad. We have to, with all the stuff that is going on in the world right now before our eyes, the core of it is that relationship. The core. Take any situation that you want and you throw it at me, and I can dissect that thing down to the core of it being the relationship between men and women, our duality. We are currently unequally yoked. About it is the reason why no one wants to realize it is because we are self-centered. I have my husband, I have my wife. We good. We good. The way he talking about, we don't deal with. You missing pieces. Missing pieces. You came from two-parent home. Two-parent home, both father and mother there. But you can't get the relationship right. Why is that? Why is that? How you doing, Ms. Rika? We see you in the building. But why is that? You came from a two-parent home. Both your father and your mother was there. But you can't get the relationship right. Why is
that? So
think about it. You grew up with both your parents. You've been married and divorced 3-4 times. Something is off. Something is off. And it is because we are not functioning in the duality of our relationships. We no longer appreciate our differences. You got men that want to stay at home and play the role that literally the wife is supposed to play. Women want to go out here and play the role that the man's supposed to.
Sound like perversion.
When we
We
wasn't
perverted people.
Yeah, we wasn't built for it. We wasn't built for it. That's not to say that we can't do it. It's not to say that we can't do it. Question is, are we meant to? Are we meant to?
Been doing the same thing for so long, been doing the same thing for so long wrong. We think we are meant to do it. That's the sadness.
That single mother, she successfully was able to doggone get her kids through high school, through college. And we look at that as an example of how things are supposed to be. No, we just had someone up here yesterday. One of our aunts up here yesterday talking about how he turned out just fine. Looking at what he wanted from his father, the mistakes of his father. Like, that is how things are supposed to be. If that child came out great with just one parent, imagine how he would have came out with both. No, me and my husband, we both work or whatnot, and our kids are doing X, Y, and the third. Okay, imagine how they would be if your husband was the sole provider and you had even more time with your children. Just imagine.
Satisfied.
Satisfied and content. Satisfied and content. But when I say that we have lowered the bar, people become offended. Become offended because they feel like that I'm saying that the things that they are actually doing and have done is insignificant. No, that's not what it is that I'm saying. That is not what it is that I'm saying. What I am saying is that the bar has been lowered so much that what you are attaining has become simple. It's become simple. Because if the bar was set to where mama, daddy in the home, mama at home with the kids, daddy providing for the home, how many of us would fail? Both men and women, how many of us would fail? Because when I was saying, we as men, we become real lazy. Become lazy. We cowards because we don't want to take on that responsibility. People are upset.
Undeveloped.
Yeah, upset because you don't want to raise the bar because it's going to require you to do more. My kids right now, I got my two oldest kids or whatnot. or in the military. You know, my oldest son right now is that's in the house is about to graduate early. Mm, my oldest daughter that's in the house has a 5.0 average. All them jokers speak multiple languages, play sports and every other thing else. And it's still for me, not where it's supposed to be. It's not.
I guess that's what you're talking about when it comes to people saying nobody's perfect, but the Bible calls us to be perfect.
Exactly.
If you strive for, what are you striving for? Are you striving to be above your peers? Because as a people, we low as shit. So, I mean, are you just trying to be shit with sugar on top of it? Because you're called to be perfect. You're called, look, the Most High wants us to have life and have it more what? Abundantly. So if he wants us to have life and life more abundantly, then what is his measuring stick? Is his measuring stick your peers? I mean, from a socio-economical standpoint, melanated people are on the bottom of the totem pole. So why would we ever want to use that as a measuring stick? Are you gonna let society, us being here in America, you're gonna let that be the gauge and measurement, or are you going to seclude yourself from that measuring, and are you going to give good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over? So you can really find out what it's about when men give it unto your bosom. So many of us are chasing things that we are supposed to naturally have attract to us. You know, if you believe in the word says, keep your mind on him and he will keep you in perfect peace. That means all of the wars and rumors of wars and things that's going on out there, the things that you're scared of dying from and things like that, you may live your whole life thinking that one thing's going to happen to you. Look, nobody ever thought the crocodile hunter would get killed by a stingray. Everybody always thought that he was going to get killed by a crocodile. You don't know. It's something that I say in insurance. What's your birthday? Everybody can tell you their birthday. Okay, now what's your death date? Ain't nobody tell you their death date. Because don't nobody know. So with that being said, you have to understand that the measuring stick for your life and what you're building, the greatest investment that you have, the greatest partnership that you have is your spouse or spouses, but I digress, and your children, because you raising them jokers. And it's going to be a reflection. They're going to be a reflection of you. So wouldn't you want to put yourself and work with your partner or partners, however you live your life? Wouldn't you want to be as hands-on as possible? Like, who cares? Who's going to, okay, nurturing is something that young children need. And a mother is born to nurture, right? So who's going to love her kids more? Who's going to nurture her kids more than she is? Now, if she decided that she wants to be out there, and I'm just, listen, for some of you women that do this or whatever the case may be, you take it how you want. But if you're out there at work and it's 24 hours in a day, and if you hear my man break down 24 hours, it's sick. But if you work 24 hours in a day and you go out there and you give 8 to 10 and sometimes 12 hours a day to somebody that has no investment in your institution, and you got to take that away, you do realize that you're investing in their institution and you don't reap any benefits from it. You work 40 years on 100% of what you were living check to check on to end up getting 40% of what you couldn't live off of 100% of, and every 20 years the cost of living doubles. That's an oxymoron. That's one thing going in one direction and another thing coming down. So you're hustling backwards. So some of you say, well, I'm just not a business type person or whatever the case may be. But you forget that scripture tells you that he gave us dominion. He gave us dominion. The scriptures tell you, ladies, that every desire that you have is going to come through and by your husband. Don't get mad at me for it. You make a decision if you're going to believe in the word or not. And if you don't believe in the word, well, damn it, I ain't talking to you. But if you do believe in the word, whether it's the Quran or the Bible, they say the same thing. So what are you going to do? Because I'm sick and tired of the complaining and the excuses in our community when all of the things that's going on is really self-inflicted. Propaganda telling us that it's about you. This is what you need to do. Don't worry about anybody else. But let me tell you something. If there's a group of people out there that don't like you and your kind, and you and your kind are an endangered species, the less and less there are of us, the more exposed the survivors are. So we need the hell out of each other. So we need each other. Like, you know what? You on my shit list. I don't really like you, but I need you. So we just got to work together. That's the mindset that we got to have. And that takes a maturity. But everybody's running around only participating in things that they love to do. And that's not discipline. That's selfishness. See, discipline is I'm going to do what I don't want to do because it's the right thing to do, and it's going to benefit those that come behind me. I had it hard. Listen, if you believe the story of Moses, how excited could it have possibly been for him to get into the land flowing in milk and honey? And then being told, because of one mistake, that he wasn't going in, but he could see it. What if he decided to be selfish and say, well, if I can't go in there, ain't nobody going in there? What would that have meant for those that came after? And then we think to ourselves, I even deal with it in life insurance. I'll ask somebody, hey, look, you make this amount of money, this is how much money you should have. And you would be surprised in our community how many times I hear, oh, I ain't trying to make them jokers rich. What is wrong with us? You struggled all your life and you wouldn't want to set up something for those that are coming behind you? Or even if it's a lateral move, maybe you don't have any children to leave it to. Can you leave it to someone else? Can you leave something for someone else? Not only something to someone else, but some specific instructions based on the Tom, Dick, and foolery that you did for them not to do.
And that's what's important, really. That's what's important. Because when I was talking about my kids, or not, yes, they have several great accolades, but you want to know what it is that I be thinking? What type of husband is he gonna be? What type of wife is my daughter going to be? What type of father or mother are they going to be? Does my son know how to love a woman efficiently? Does my daughter know how to respect a man? Can I see her being submissive? What type of example am I setting for them? to follow in these things that are tangible in life. Because yes, they can go off to college, get degrees, become doctors, but that title does not dictate their character. It doesn't. That they can go off, be a doctor, lawyer, nurse, and everything else. Oh, it's storming out here. Oh, we getting it. But y'all hear it in the background. But they can go off and carry some of the most high-ranking titles out there, and their morals be shit. Morals be nothing. Am I raising one of the worst parents to ever walk on this? One of the worst spouses to ever walk on this? These are the things that are tangible to me. And I'm not just talking about knowing how to doggone take care of themselves. Yes, they need to know how to clean up behind themselves. Yes, they need to know how to cook, do dishes, and things of this particular nature. But what about those other things that connect them to everyone else? So these are the things that literally we forget about. Literally. What are we showing within our home? Ladies, are you literally showing your daughters how to respect a man? How to talk to a man? And I'm not talking about what it is that you say out of your mouth. I'm talking about what it is that you actually do. When you speak to your husband in front of your kids, what is it that they are taking in? Both sons and daughters.
Oh boy.
For your sons, are you telling them that this is how their significant other needs to talk to you? For your daughters, are you telling them that this is how you need to speak to your significant other? Are you telling them? So we can even break it down to the whole argument about who eats first. Are you telling them that you have such little respect for what it is that your husband goes out there and do on a day-to-day basis that is so insignificant that that joker can't even eat before them kids do? What are you teaching them? Because yes, we can give them chores. We can give them chores. Every last one of my kids in here got chores. But what are we teaching them through the actions of how to be men and how to be women, how to be husbands and how to be wives, how to be fathers, and how to be mothers? What are we teaching? So to answer the question I was asking earlier in reference to that individual that grew up with both of the parents in the home, now all of a sudden they can't get it right. What did you see? What did you see? Because I made the statement, you know, the great Cosby family, the Huxtables. The Huxtables. I asked the question, who ran that house? Because it definitely wasn't Cliff. And when you look at over time, when those kids got older, especially the daughters, and they started getting married, look at how they treated their significant others. It didn't come by happenstance. It went from what it was that they actually saw. And it's the same thing that is happening to us. Some of us got it in our mind, well, I don't like what it is that I did see with my doggone parents. I didn't like the fact or whatnot that my mom was so submissive, so yielding. She didn't seem happy to me. So I'm just simply not going to be that way. Think about it. What are we teaching to our kids? Are we preparing them? Are we teaching them to be independent? Something that nothing on this earth is. You not even being independent. Teaching your kids.
You and I even.
Teaching your kids to be independent is just like teaching your kids that doggone Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny are real. Tooth Fairy. It's just what it is. It's just what it is.
Now I want to say this, if I may.
Go ahead.
If ladies, because if ladies, if you're listening to this and you're in your feelings and you're thinking in your head, oh, they just want us to go back to being in the house, buck naked, pregnant, barefoot, with an apron on, cooking and cleaning and having sex all day. And that's what you're thinking, and you know, somehow that is demeaning to you. Okay. I want you to, if you look in the Bible, right? I want you to go to Proverbs chapter 31 and the whole chapter, but you can really start at verse 10. I like you to read the whole chapter, but I want you to start looking at verse 10 on down. And this is what's described as a virtuous woman. Okay. I understand some of you ladies out there, you can't bear the thought of being at home all day and all night, this, that, and the other. I got that, right? But I want to challenge you to read that. Don't wait till your pastor read it. Man, read it for yourself. Okay, you can do it. Now I want you to, I'm going to use the example of when I want you to use what is your life centered around? You know, is your life centered around work? Because if your life is centered around work, that's wrong. The woman that they describe in the Bible on Proverbs chapter 31, that was a woman that didn't stay at home all day. Okay. But I'm going to give you an example. When I was at Ohio State, we had Monday and Tuesday, upper, lower body, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, upper, lower body, respectively. When we came into the gym, or when we came into the weight room, there were anywhere between 2 to 4 exercises that we had to check off. All right. And once you got those exercises checked off, you literally didn't have to do anything else. So there were people who would go in there, hurry up and do their exercise, and they would hurry up and leave and go to campus, play with the girls and have fun and wild out. Then there were some that after they finished their exercises, they started working on a little more. Okay. So you have to determine what the core responsibilities are in your relationship for the man and for the woman. Okay. And if a man is telling, and only a man can tell you what he's looking for, and only a woman can tell you what she's looking for. Okay. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy yourself and do other things. So ladies, if you want to get out there and you want to work or whatever the case may be, don't have your life around your work. Have your work around your life and your core responsibilities. Okay? If the house needs to be clean and food needs to be made. I remember growing up, my mom sometimes started dinner first thing in the morning. Or I remember sometimes my mom would make a big meal long enough to last us 2 or 3 days because she was a single mother, but she had to make sure that those things were done. We're not talking about single mothers. We're talking about women who are married. So if you know your husband wants a clean house to come to, and you know that your husband wants to have a food on the table, because I'm going to tell you right now, a family of 4, it's easy to go out and buy dinner and end up spending $50, $60. Easy. And that adds up. And it's taken away from your family, money that you could be investing. You got to make sure that you have a checklist of things that you know that you got to do every day and get those things done. Now, if you have that talent and ability, which we know women have the amazing ability to multitask, just make sure that everything is taken care of between your husband first and your children second. And it's the same thing for men. If we want to play Madden or we want to hang out with our boys or whatever the case may be, we have to make sure that we're taking care of the things that we're supposed to take care of. That means going out there, i.e. making money, making provisions, and making sure that we're providing protection. So nobody's telling you, it's not black and white. Life is full of colors. We're not telling you that you have to come back home and you have to just do it, barefooted, walking around, on some, in your mind, misery type stuff. What we're saying to you is those children are the most important investment that you'll ever make. And if you're not present, and this goes not only for the women, but the men too, because I think Deuteronomy chapter 6 talks about this. If it's between 6, 7, and 8, talks about the role of the man and being a teacher in the home. You two supposed to be, or more, you are supposed to be working together to try to figure out how you can automate in a capital-based society to be able to have a system of being able to produce the resources that you need so that you can have the best ability, which is availability to your spouse and to your children. That's the thing that you're supposed to be working together on. This is why we need each other so much. You shouldn't be with somebody struggling more with them. And ladies, if you're with somebody that you just can't wrap your head around respecting, do that man and do yourself a favor and do those children a favor. Don't be in that situation. But better than that, before you even get to having children, make sure that you are doing your homework on the person that you're trying to be with. I don't care how good they look. I don't care what the sex is like or whatever the case may be. I don't care how they make you feel. Okay? This is about good, sound economics. That is the environment. I keep saying this. That is the environment that you must have in place. And it doesn't mean you have to be rich. I'm talking about sound economics, meaning we've got a means of getting food. We've got a means of clothing. We've got a means of roof over our head. And a roof over your head doesn't have to be no $500,000 house either. A roof over your head is what's substantial. So ladies, you're going to have to start being realistic what you're asking for from men. You're going to have to, if you have those desires of being able to have a $5,000, $10,000 bag, crazy shoe game, traveling around the world to the 7 seas, the real question is, can you put in the sweat equity to work with that man to build up to that point? And find out if that man wants to build to be that. That man might not want to do all and be all of that. That's what you need to identify in the beginning so that you don't waste your time and waste that man's time.
I'm gonna break it down like this, right? You know I'm a chess lover. You know I'm a chess lover. So the most powerful piece on the chessboard is the queen. The queen has the ability to go in any direction as far as she would like. The king, however, although he's the most important piece on the board and gives you the ability to either win or lose the game, can only move in one direction, one space
At a time.
at a time. Why is that? As men,
There's so much on his shoulders.
exactly. As men, we carry a lot of burden, and we can't move the way the queen does, because the queen is supposed to be free of burden, to be able to move and maneuver the way the king so fits. So when you do place that burden on your shoulders, you do what we call trap yourself. Make it impossible for you to be able to move in the method in which you were designed to be able to move. And it puts more stress on the game, because now you have all these other pawns and other pieces that can only move in specific manners that we now have to try and figure out how to maneuver, not just to win the game, but to free you up as well. And this is what has been happening. Society has trapped our women to where y'all cannot maneuver the way that you are supposed to. You're jumping from one slot to another slot, the same slot, trapped. All because you want to carry a burden that is not yours to carry. It's not. Man, I wish we had more time to talk. But we gotta get.
Because I could just listen to you. I can listen to you elaborate on that, boy. And they need that, boy. We're gonna have to get back to that.
Man, but look, we gotta get into our final thoughts. I already know what it is. Lee, go ahead, man.
Ladies, you have been conditioned to think that acquiring more burdens elevates your value. But your value is to be covered so you can move burden free. We need you to move burden free. You see things differently than us men do. You approach things differently than us men do. And most of all, you have this amazing ability, because of how beautiful you are and your femininity, to make people put their guard down. Us men, we have a lot to deal with. And that's the reason we're built differently. We're built differently mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. It's not what is similar about us that brings us together. It's what's different about us. When you're carrying and conducting yourself with the energy of a man, that becomes very unattractive. We want you to just be what you were created and designed to be. Don't get into the propaganda to make you feel a sense of hatred towards yourself, where you want to be something or someone else. You are who you are, for the specific assignment that you was created and called to do, to be paired up with the people that you're supposed to be paired up with, to play the role that you're supposed to play in the body, and no one organ is more important than the other. So we really need you to understand that the deal that you made with the enemy, how could you expect the enemy to do something that's fruitful and beneficial to you? Please know and understand, the reason that they directly don't want to take you out is because they have convinced you, Queen, to move like a pawn. And what makes you move like a pawn is the burdens that you're asking for. You can't move freely because you're so weighted down. And not only does that make you move in one direction only, which you are created and designed to do so much more than, but it exposes you. It exposes the king, and it exposes the kingdom. So we need you to see the big picture and understand that nature has a place for you, and nature has a place for us men. Let's get back to nature, and let's repent from what we've been doing, and let's focus and concentrate on creating a new trail.
So there's a lot that has been said. There has been a lot of issues that have been placed on the table. But I want to encourage everyone to know that there is a solution for today. And there also is an answer for tomorrow. And it is coming. Everything it is that we're talking about, all the moves and stuff that we are making, even down to the book, Can I Be the Man? Letter from us to you. No more than chess pieces that have been moved and shifted around so that we can get to the solution for today and have the answer for tomorrow. We're not just sitting back talking about this thing at all. I don't believe that the Most High, the universe, ancestors provided us with this type of wisdom for us to just sit on it with no action. There will be change, not just for us as a culture, but for us as a human race, to help us get back to our place in nature as we should be. Man, what a beautiful day it shall be. Beautiful day it shall be. But we got to get ready to get out of the way. Got to give a shout out to my brothers, to the A-team, whatnot. We missed y'all on the call today. I already know how this thing goes, but I got to give y'all a shout out to the entire A-team, knowing together, encouraging all men. A shout out to Telemade Productions LLC for the work, the time, the effort that y'all put into producing this audio book of Can I Be the Man? A Letter from Us to You. You gotta definitely give a shout out to the game store. Look, the game store is out here doing big things, providing clothing, jerseys, shoes, the whole nine to us at an affordable price. So gotta give a big shout out to that. Mac Art Creations, or that created the King Naib logo. Got to give a shout out to you as well. There's so many within there. And of course, I can't not give a shout out, to Buckeye Financials. Buckeye Financial, the investor into this thing, or whatnot. And like I always say, anything insurance and financial wise, that's the place that you need to be. It's as simple as that. Last but not least, you gotta definitely give a shout out to the frequency. If you haven't already, go like, follow, and share the frequency CO. You will be able to be a part of the King's Court every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. And eventually, and I'm not going to say eventually, starting in July, this panel right here is moving over to the frequency. We're doing it every Saturday, 10 a.m. To 12 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We about to be out here. Like I said, this thing is bigger than us. This thing is bigger than us, but we're going to play our part in it. We definitely are. We're going to play our part in it. We'll continue to grow, continue to move forward, and get things done the way they're supposed to be. For everybody that's in the Colorado Springs area, hey, the book release party is on Thursday. It's on Thursday, Club Tilt from 5 to 8. You're not going to want to miss this thing. Shout out to Tony Exum Jr. He's going to be our musical guest on that night. We also have a special performance. It's going to be welcoming me or not through Imbalance. The Imbalance Girls. I don't know what their exact name are, but I know the name of the company is Imbalance. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Make sure you bring your books. Make sure you bring your books, because I will be there to actually sign them, take pictures, the whole nine. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm super excited about everything that's been going on and everything that is about to happen. For those of you that are curious, would like to know what BBOC really is, I'm coming to North Carolina. I will be in Fayetteville. I'll be in Fayetteville, June 27th at the Ramada. Flyers and stuff about to start coming out. I'll be everywhere. I need you to. This is gonna be one of them events you're gonna have to reserve. We're only allowing 50 people in. You're gonna have to reserve your spot, sign your paperwork, or whatnot, because the people that come to this event will actually be a part of the documentary that we are working on through Telemade Productions. All right. And so get ready. We got a lot of stuff coming. A whole lot of stuff coming, but you already know what it is. We got to get ready to get up out of here or not. So y'all know what it is. The king has spoken. Court is officially over. We out.